Hi, and welcome to another episode of Wine and Wisdom. I'm Thomas Le Hoang, and you're listening to the TL podcast, where knowledge is shared and no one takes themselves too seriously.
Here we go.
Hey!
First
You had it
go.
all lined up for
Going
prior,
off
right?
early.
20 seconds early. 20
usual.
seconds early. Well, maybe a bit more.
I'm a specialist.
He's used to that, got off early.
That's literally the first time in a month or more that I reckon you've got it right. Well done, mate. Learning.
Yeah, that's mainly because I realize now you can't do it more than 5 minutes before you start. Otherwise, it actually kicks you out.
Yeah, it was probably like a security thing. Yeah, it's good.
How's everyone going?
Amazing.
Very well. Good. Fantastic. What'd you guys all do today? Public holiday. What'd you get up to?
Minute of silence for the Her Majesty,
Yeah.
the Queen.
Mm-hmm.
No,
The
that's-
King.
Oh, well, it was
I've been toasting her all afternoon, so we were toast.
Yeah.
Cheers to the Queen.
Okay. Anything else in the news besides the normal news? No, nothing.
It's all been
Looks like interest rates gonna go up again.
Interest rates will go up again.
Yeah. But did you hear, I read an article during the week, and remember probably 3 months ago or 2 months ago, we were talking on here about how quickly they're going up and there's no sort of breathing space. There's no sort of time to see the effects. The article I read during the week was that they've gone up so rapidly without that breathing effect or time, if you like. So this article was saying that early next year, they'll probably rapidly come down because the combination of all these rapid increases on top of everything else, it's just going to be a drastic effect when it all hits home. So we'll see. Hopefully it's right, but
That's what we said. They
about.
had to increase them quickly because the inflation is so high. They need to decrease that so quick. And as
Yeah.
soon as they get it under control, then they'll start to ease up on the interest
It
rate.
hasn't had any
So-
effect on inflation. It's the
No,
biggest
not yet, because there was so
factor.
much money in the economy, mate. But it will show. It will show.
Yeah.
It will come through.
Yeah.
It's not an instantaneous effect, mate.
Mm.
I mean, I'm still having houses with 20 groups through an open home. So
So the point is, yeah, but that's a completely different thing. They're buying it 20% cheaper, so why wouldn't it? That's not a sign of inflation. That's just prices are coming more into. There's more people
on the
that
back
will
of that,
it.
a lot of the buyers I'm speaking to are having difficulty with loans, and
Yeah.
their loans have been reduced from where they were, and so forth. So that inflation will start to slow as soon as those buyers start to leave the market or purchase and so forth. So
How can you possibly know whether you're taking the right action or not when month in, month out they just keep doing it? When are they going to stop and let it settle to see where it all lands?
Yeah.
We still wouldn't know. Maybe the first interest rate not rise now, you would probably have an idea of how that's affected people, but they just go on month in, month out with no evidence of whether the first lot have actually worked or not. They're just, I don't understand any of it. I think
They just follow America, mate. Like America this morning or yesterday has gone up 0.75%.
Yeah.
0.75% yesterday.
Yeah.
And we'll have another 0.5 or more.
God bless America.
We just follow it, mate. But we are ahead of them. That's why we've got a buffer. But
Their inflation's at something like 8% or something. So, yeah. Anyway, let's do wine, huh?
let's get into wine. Let's start with the lady
go for
first.
it, Lou.
Okay, so this one here, Miraval, Cotes, Provence. Did I say that right? This is a 2021, but again, Dan Murphy's, Chris. So I don't know why you had a.
That was
struggle
next to the bottle that I'd bought.
Oh well, you bought the wrong bottle, my friend. But this one,
Oh,
apparently this winery was owned by Brad Pitt and Angelina Jolie. Not Angelina Jolie anymore. I think her half's been brought out. But interesting, I didn't know that until I picked up the bottle and
She sold her shares.
yeah.
And Brad Pitt
Oh, it's such a
buying
good-looking
his
bottle.
shares. Sorry?
That's why it's such a good-looking bottle. The two best-looking humans on planet Earth have created.
Yeah, totally. It is a beautiful bottle, though, isn't it? Even Charlotte commented on the bottle. So,
Yeah.
yeah, we'll see.
Should be a very nice one. Top 10.
Yeah, yep, hope so.
All right, I have one that is from Aix en Provence. So same thing again. Another one of those bottles from the same region. And I only wanted to go for South of France wine, but apparently there's some nice one a little bit everywhere, also in Italy. So, but that's my favorite.
We're doing French rosé today, people. If you hadn't worked it out, we're doing.
Yeah.
They haven't yet. You should have said them yet. Anyway. Right. What about you, Cam?
I'm a big fan of doing as I'm told. So when I saw the label and it said By.Ott, I bought it.
Dan Murphy's?
No, this is my secret.
This
is my secret little bottle shop. I went all out for this, but it's also from Cotes de Provence, 2020. Bought it. Is there only one? Oh, you just said that you can get it from all over France, TL, but we've all bought. It's all from the same region. So
yeah, it's amazing, isn't it?
But anyway, I thought I suggested. I looked at the weather and I suggested rosé because I thought it'd be a good day to have a rosé. But much like the Reserve Bank saying they wouldn't lift interest rates, the weather's wrong, and it's a horrible day to have a rosé. It's cold and wet here and miserable.
Yeah.
Who cares?
Who cares?
That's right.
Chris.
So I bought it's from Cotes as well, Cotes Hire.
How about that? That's a beautiful.
This bottle, funnily enough, trying without spill, it's actually got a rose on the bottom.
On the bottom, yeah.
Yeah.
So when you smack an intruder in the head, it leaves a really good imprint. But it's again not 2021, and I didn't know this, but a rose is a combination between Grenache, Shiraz, and is that what it says? Cuvée,
Mourvedre. Yeah.
Yeah, I don't know. I can't pronounce it, but yeah, it's three wines. So
yeah.
I don't drink rosé. So when Cam said rosé, I'll go, is he taking the piss?
Yeah, I thought the same
I
thing.
thought we'd do something different.
Yeah, no, fair enough, mate. I mean, it's not a bottle that I'd normally pick, so why not?
And listen, I normally accuse TL of just picking whatever's in his fridge, and I threw him out the option because I reckon he's got a fridge full of Californian Chardonnay, knowing his wife. So I think it would have been easy for him to go the other. So I'm kind of glad he picked rosé, but I don't drink it. I don't know it. So I thought, why not?
But the funny thing is that all our bottles are exactly from the same region. So very, very similar. And we're probably going to taste the same bottle. It's going to be as if we drank from the same bottle.
No, mine's better.
Wow.
I like your bottle though, Chris, because you've got a glass top.
Yes.
And that means that you can reuse it as a chili oil bottle.
You know, and funnily enough, being a good wog, my wife, the first thing she said when she saw this bottle, she goes, "Oh, that's good for limoncello." So I already got it's already earmarked for something. So
I see any limoncello on Saturday night, mate? Was there any there?
We went through 3 bottles, mate.
Oh, well, thanks for sharing.
My sister-in-law's mixing with Prosecco.
Mate, that's for people after midnight, Cam.
Cheers, guys. Cheers.
Ken didn't need anything after midnight. 36 Long Island iced teas took care of him. He was good.
Oh, nice. Imagine 35 degrees summer. Oh,
that's what I thought it was going to be today. So sorry.
Organise the wine. You didn't organise the weather, mate.
I got to say, Chris, just before we get into the topic, your party on Saturday night, I'm sure it's one of Rita's sisters, but there was a blonde-headed lady on the dance floor the entire night that did not stop. Is that
Short?
Yeah.
Yeah, Rita's middle sister.
Unbelievable.
Yeah.
Stop drinking either.
From start to finish.
The dancing gets better the later the night goes, apparently. Fortunately, so yeah,
well,
she doesn't.
It had to, but God, she kept going.
I actually asked the DJ to stop playing at 1:30, and she goes, "No, let him go. The cops haven't come yet." God, seriously.
Well, the cops have got plenty of other stuff to do in Bankstown, mate, rather than
I'm not in Bankstown. Anyway, all good. No, it's a good night, eh? It's a good night.
Good night. Well done. Congratulations.
Yeah.
65th birthday, wasn't it, Chris?
Yeah, good on you.
I felt for Rita having to do the cleanup the next day.
Hey.
Especially when you invite like people who can't behave themselves and then throw cakes and. or
Right.
and use cake to soak up the sweat on them because they've been dancing. I mean, seriously, wrong kind of guess, man.
And they wash it out of their hair with wine.
Always sneaks away squeaky clean, Hoang, doesn't he? Just
Yeah.
throws the hand grenade and then wasn't me. I got witnesses, brother. I got witnesses.
That was just you just now said it was you, but that was just Cam's way of showing what he does in the bedroom with the cake and.
Who wouldn't want to eat a nice cheesecake off this?
Well, yeah. Sorry.
All right, let's go.
Ah, so today's topic, we are discussing where leadership stands in the world at the moment between people focused and system focused. So our little mate up there without much hair talked to us at the conference about the pendulum that constantly swings in business between system and people. And I thought we should probably examine that because I think on face value, system and people seems pretty self-explanatory, but I actually don't think it is that self-explanatory. I think I want to talk about people mixing up people focus with and actually doing system focus, and people who think they're doing system focus but are actually doing people focus, where we should be and how you actually manage it. Because I know for myself, it's been a bit of an issue. I've got one business that I've probably gone too bit people focused on, and one that's probably needs a bit more people focused. So it was an interesting week for me thinking about the topic. So
yeah.
Who wants to start? TL always sits back and lets us talk and then goes, "No, I think you've explained it well." So TL,
no. But you're talking about a subject I've spoken about, so there's no point for me to start. Come on, let's be polite. Let's start with.
Right. Well, let's just first question. Let's not definition, but definition. What do we define people focus and system focus as in a business sense?
I think people focused is transforming, and leading ourselves first, and then leading the others, and knowing our people. I think that's one of the big things that I took away from our conference is knowing ourselves fully, then knowing our people and being able to understand what drives our people, what triggers our people, what rules our people, their values, etc., etc. I think in a lot of company organizations, you can, hi, how are you, how was your weekend, and then that's about as far as the conversation goes, and people get stuck in and do their own thing, and they're there to do what they do and go home, and there's not that sort of strong relationship or connection. And I think as a result of COVID, that's what people have realized and missed, and hence why we were talking in the conference about people's number one thing now is connection and love as opposed to certainty, because there's so much variety now and people embrace variety as opposed to the certainty that used to be, well, apparently number one. So what about you?
I think it can be a little bit simpler, and that the system focus, and I think most of us grew up in a system focused world where it's 9 to 5, or you work the hours that you're paid for, or if you're paying someone for a certain amount of hours, you expect that out of them, regardless of their life or what's going on around them. It was focusing on the business rather than focusing on the people working in it. Having a people focus to me means understanding that everyone has their own life and their own vision, and how we can actually achieve the goals of the business while helping those people achieve what they want in life as well.
100%.
I think there's been a big shift because of COVID and all sorts of different things. I think the shift was already coming, but COVID accelerated it, where people worked out they didn't want to be stuck in an office 12 hours a day and getting yelled at and screamed at and getting warning letters for not meeting certain KPIs and all sorts of different stuff. And that was a system-based model that many businesses have been taught to run. It's not a negative thing. This is how we were taught to run businesses. But there's definitely been a shift now where I think as leaders or as business owners, we need to take into account people have a life outside of us, and I think that's people focus.
In my thoughts, similar, Cam, it's a system is very transactional, whereas people is very emotional. And I think people need belonging, and I don't think that's been there for a very, very long time. I think many, many years ago, the majority of the businesses valued themselves off their assets, and they believed their assets were, stock and production and so forth. I think a lot of businesses realise their largest asset now is the people that they have within the business, and those people in turn represent the business. And I think Richard Branson said it. He goes, "You treat your people well, they'll look after your customers. You don't have to look after your business; just look after your people." For me, you can't have one without the other. You can have a bad system with good people and a good system with bad people, but you can't have one without the other. But first off, has to be people focused. And as I said before, as Richard Branson said, take care of your people will take care of the business.
Do you actually think first off was people focused? Because
I think so.
I think a business without a system, it doesn't matter how good you are with people, you'll fail. Because
I thought of that, Cam. The first person, and it's probably going to what I was going to bring up a bit later, but the first person you need to be focused on is yourself, and you need to be a better leader for the people that you're leading. And I think without the system comes after that. I think that all systems come after the number one person you've got to look after is yourself. And this has been a big realization for me only just recently, that if you don't look after that first person, you can't then look after the people underneath you. And once you start realizing that, you can put those systems in place once you start looking after yourself. If you're not looking after yourself, the systems aren't going to be properly implemented anyway.
Yeah.
I honestly think if you put a good person into a bad system, they're not going to get great results. But if you put a good person into a bad system, but give them the authority or the encouragement to improve the system, that system will always get better. Now, whether you work by yourself working a system and you want to workshop that but internally to get that better, or if you've got a team to do it, I always think it's people first and the system will improve.
What about putting a good person into no system though?
I think that there will be a system there regardless. Whether it's
hey, there you go. So the system came first or not?
No, I still think we're talking about, we're not talking about chicken or egg scenario here, Cam. We're talking about what should we focus on, what a business should focus on. I think a business should focus on its people.
Yeah, I understand that. But your comment before was that first and foremost, it's people and people and people. I think there's got to be a business system. There's got to be a structure there for people to be in.
Of course.
Without people, there won't be any system.
That's right. That's right.
So it has to be people.
Yeah.
Because without the people, there's no system. So we get caught in this chicken and egg scenario. But what we have to focus on, first we have to focus on is the people.
Absolutely. They're the crucial two pillars, people and systems, of course. But, like what you were saying, Chris, a bad system with good people versus a bad people with a good system. I think what's wrong with business models today is that they've probably got both of them wrong. The system idea is probably outdated and the people connection is way off track. I think that's the problem. So both definitely need improvement, but you can't have one without the other. It's just, you can't. It's like having a car without wheels.
Absolutely. And look, I think it's a lot like culture. When we talk about systems and people, it's like culture. People go, we've got culture. Well, everyone's got bloody culture.
Yeah.
Is it good or bad? I mean, it's like people and systems. Everyone's got people and systems. Even if we go, I've got no system. You've got a system. There is a system there. It might be a crap system, but you've got a system.
Yeah.
But if you focus on the people, you can improve the system.
And
focusing on the system, sorry, Lou, focusing on the system won't improve necessarily improve the people.
And the thing is too, like with as a result of COVID, and people want more flexibility, and I think 1 in 7 people now work from home at least 1 or 2 days a week, and that's probably not going to change. So going forward, how important is systems going to be? Because you've got to have that level of trust, and you've got to have that level of connection, and to allow, because how hard is it for some people prior to COVID would have never dreamt of allowing their employees to work from home. Now everybody wants to, so the system needs to be probably crucially important, but more the people. But you've got to have a really fine balance. I think when the pendulum swings, it's got to probably always lean more towards the people, but it's got to be almost equal, I think, going forward.
I think that comes down to the leadership in
Yeah.
within the business, being able to have those people to work from home effectively. I think there's a lot of leaders that don't trust their workers to do that.
Yeah, and how sad is
That's
that?
not the right way to work. Trust their staff to do that. Yeah.
How would you define what's a different system?
Stop asking the question, mate. What about your opinion? What is it that you're wanting to say? Because for the moment, I can see it. You try and push the people in each of the basket, but what do you think, Cam?
Well, in which regard? I was just going to ask you how you define.
You said something very interesting just 2 minutes ago, which is you notice that one of your business is very much systematic. The other one is very people, and both have got their own issues. I mean, I think it maybe pays to elaborate a bit.
No, so yeah, I have a business where I think I went too far. I think we're talking a lot about people, and the pendulum has swung between people. I was hoping to lead into this, but we go there now. And I realise probably too late, but one of my businesses has gone way too far, people. Talking people, but you can't do it without a system. And because I went so far, people, in that business, and very little to no system, the results at the end of the quarter were horrible. Horrible. Everyone was having a great time, right? Everyone was having a great time. Everyone's needs were taken care of. Everyone's work-life balance was great, and everyone's needs were looked after, but the system wasn't looked after. So the idea of the topic of conversation was, where's the balance? Now, in the other business, we're not too systems focused. We have system and we have people. But the first thing that comes is the system. The system has to be followed, and around that system being followed, we meet everyone's needs. I feel that's how it runs. So
bringing those people into that system, though, Cam, is there not a very strict selection criteria to get the right people?
Yes, but we don't. What I was trying to get at with you earlier was, you have to have a foundation. There has to be a structure. There has to be a system, which is why I wanted people to give me their own definition of what a system is, right? There is a system that we follow. And around that system, as long as that's being met, the personal and the people side of things is pretty much a do whatever you want kind of setup. Now, in the other business that didn't have and that business is doing very, very well and got great results on the board. In the business that didn't have great results this quarter. Now, the business that didn't have great results this quarter has had unbelievable results the first half of the year. Right? Brilliant. Probably our best ever. Great. So no issues. But because of that, yeah, let's focus on the people. Let's make sure everyone's happy. Let's get together for staffies all the time, and let's kumbaya and all that stuff. And there was no focus, and my hand's up, right? And I've admitted it in front of the team too. So I'm not saying anything that hasn't already been said in front of the people that are most important. System went out the window. And as soon as system went out the window, so did results. And I think sometimes people think they're doing people, but they're actually doing system. Right? And I think sometimes people think they're doing system, but they're actually doing people without the system. And I've been guilty of both.
I think we've all been guilty of both, to be honest.
I think some people think I'm a people leader, but what they're actually doing is creating a system where only the number one wins and only the number one survives. And I believe that's system, not people. But then sit back confused going, oh, hang on, I'm a people person, because we reward the winners and we help the winners do this and we help the winners do that. And all of a sudden there's a system of only the top of the triangle win. So I think there's people out there people who are actually doing a system and vice versa. Now, I don't care how I believe, it doesn't matter how good your leadership is and how good the people are you hire. If there's no system to follow, you're going to fail. And we've had moments in the other business, and Teal's my business partner, where the system hasn't been implemented to where it has been. and we haven't had great months. And then when we go back to system, but always people, we've always been people. Not as good sometimes as we could have been, but we've always been people. As soon as system's back involved, results happen. So I think there's a big danger for us all to be everyone's mate and everyone make sure that all your staff are happy and they get everything they want, but it can't be at the expense of the system, I don't think.
I think, Cam, what you're saying is right, but I don't think anyone here believes it's a one way or the other. It's a very fine balancing act between the two of them all the way through. And, you know, sometimes we have to go a little bit more people. Sometimes we have to go a little bit
That's
more
what I
system.
want to discuss. Where's that balance?
But I think if you're not focusing on the people from the onset, you're hiring the wrong people. You might be hiring people with bad values. Maybe there's an old saying I heard from a very wise person: don't motivate people, find motivated people. So we've got to hire the right people to start with. If we're not focused on that to begin with, the system really doesn't have a chance to at all. But when we've got the right people and the right system running well, it's like a finely tuned race car. I mean, it's going to run and win races.
Yeah.
So what about people who think they're doing people but are actually doing system? Where are the red flag? Where are some?
Mate, my leadership is too young to be able to sort of even red flag that, mate. I'm
what do
learning
you
as I
actually
go.
mean when you say that, Cam? What do you like? Give an example of what you mean there. When people think they're doing people but they're doing system, because I'm trying to understand what you actually mean there.
I think I'm doing people because I reward people and I help people buy houses and I help people do this, but I only do it if they win. I only do it if they're top of the food chain, and I only do it based on set criteria, which then makes that a system. You have to tick this box, this box, this box, this box, and then we're doing people. If we're not ticking this box, this box, this box, this box, we're not doing any of that stuff.
So is that what we call transactional then? You do that and I'll do that?
To some extent. I don't know if it's not, I don't know if that example is transactional, but it's a system.
Yeah.
It turns into a culture.
Yeah.
And I think a lot of people, I think there are people out there who think they're great people, but the minute things turn tough, their people leave and they go, oh shit, how did that happen? I was a great people person. Well, maybe you were doing system instead of people.
Yeah.
But does that happen out there? I'm asking questions.
Yeah, of course it happens. Yeah, I mean, it would happen in a lot of different businesses, and it comes down to so many things within that business. You know, the ability of the leader at the time, if that person's hidden players are greed or, you know, judge or whatever it may be. So there's so many different things that are going to force someone to go one way or the other. I think when you've got a revolving door, I think, as we just learned, I think it's about awareness. And if a leader can see where their shortcomings are, well, then they can grow and sort of improve, whether it's system or people they need to improve on. But sometimes the machine's not broken, Cam, and they're still running system and not people. And everyone may be happy doing that. So, I mean, it's very hard to say, you know, one way or the other is right or wrong.
I'm not saying which is right or wrong. I'm saying, do you think people are running people but are actually doing system?
Yeah.
Or vice versa? Is that can that be the case?
Yes.
I think it can, based on the example that you gave, Cam. Definitely. I think, you know, from my experience, when I first started, I used to want to be everybody's friend, and that was a bad mistake. And in my mind, I was doing people then, but that's not doing people, being everybody's friend, because that doesn't get the job done, you know.
Not doing system either, though.
No, well, but we kind of were at that time. But it's the balance. And going forward, like what I said earlier, I think the model of people, doing people these days, how do we do people these days? Well, my idea on that is we understand them and what their needs and wants are. And people want flexibility. People want, you know, freedom of time. People want to know why they're there. You know, people want to be a part of a vision and they want to feel like they belong. people don't, and in my mind, that's how we do people these days, is we give them that flexibility. When someone's on 110 grand for the quarter and making them stay till 5 o'clock and doing 50 calls a day, that's not what people want. If they can go home at 3 o'clock and spend time with their 2-year-old, that's what people want, you know, and that's sort of, in my mind, doing people. But
after they've done system though, they've got 110 grand on in the quarter, right?
Yeah, but we're in a target-based industry, you know, so doing the system that way is not such a bad thing. They've got a job to do to get to a certain level, and after that, their time is theirs. That's how I look at it these days, and that's how it should be. Everybody's destiny is in their own hand. If we've said this is how much your target is, and that's once you've met that, you do what you like to do. You know, that's their destiny. It doesn't change our back pocket, so to speak. If they've got to their target, it's up to them what they do with that after then, you know.
So system, but what about systems putting $3 million on your bottom line every year? Why change it? Why do I need to go people if systems?
But again, Cam, if you're doing that and you've got a successful business and you're retaining people and you've got market share and and the business is growing and the rent roll's growing, you're doing both. You've got a good balancing act. Sometimes might be more focused, system focused, sometimes more people focused. But I think you can't say to a business it's got to be one or the other. I think a successful business doing those figures is doing both well. They're doing both well. I think businesses, if it's a starting business, they have to look at, in a market at the moment we're in, it's very hard to find people, and it's even harder to retain people. So to be that little bit more focused on your people is very important. And maybe those ones that are struggling to get up and running a bit quicker than as you would like, you maybe need to help them along. But by the same token, you've got to listen to the system and say, sometimes you're doing a favor saying maybe real estate's not for you, which the system comes into place. So again, you're still using the system to help people to achieve what they want to achieve. So, I mean, I can't say that, you know, what do you say to someone that's doing more business, more people, they think it's system or vice versa, because they've got to be aware of that to start with.
And the other thing is, Cam, like...
I disagree completely that just because your bank account's looking good that you're doing system and people well.
But Cam, here's the thing. If you're earning that much money or whatever, you're obviously good at leadership, right? And the leadership really has nothing to do with system at the end of the day. Leadership is you leading by example and knowing your people, and this is what I'm thinking anyway. But I mean, obviously the system has its part and it has its role to play, but like I get the impression that you think you're not people. Well, obviously one of your offers you think you're too much and the other not, but I seem to think that you don't feel as though you do people very well or something.
No, I'm asking examples.
Okay.
People, we're in a network of franchises, right? There's many of them, and we see many businesses around us. Not all these questions are about me. That's not the point of the exercise, right? I understand. I've sat back and I've had a look and I've gone, shit, and I did it too late. I went, man, too much people for this thing, and I've caused issues before and lost staff before for being too much system. I understand where it's at, and I haven't got the balance perfectly right yet, and I wouldn't espouse to have done so. That's not what I'm about. It's we're here hopefully being able to debate and shoot the shit so that other people learn.
But why do you say a business that's profiting, writing, I don't know, 3 mil or profiting 3 mil, 6 mil, whatever figure you put on it, is not got it going? Because to have that comment, you must have a concept in your mind of what that business is doing behind the scenes.
Yeah, and when times are good, everyone's happy. What happens when times aren't?
Well, what happens when times aren't good and they're still doing well?
People leave and the screws get turned, and the only focus is the bottom line, not the people. I know a business, right? And the bottom line is the focus. So we're people as long as it's easy to do people, and we're bottom line, as soon as the bottom line gets challenged, people goes out the door. And some of the things that we might have thought we were doing that were people turn out not to be.
right? Well, that comes a bit of lack of leadership, or the hidden players come back into it.
No, but you just said, mate, if they're doing $3 million and they're this and they're that, obviously the leadership's good. They've got people and system perfectly balanced.
Yeah, but if they're doing, Cam, if they're doing that in the times are good and people are staying, that leadership should follow on when times aren't as good.
That's
or
right.
the leader should be able to have the foresight to say the market's changing, or for whatever reason. But you're not going to keep 100% of the people happy 100% of the time, and that's fact. You can't do it.
No. Stop asking me questions. I'm just here.
You ask everyone else a million questions.
No,
Enlighten us, Thomas. Give us something here.
All right, let me help you.
Something.
Let me help you move on. When we talk about the pendulum, it's not about 100%. It's never about black and white. We are now, for the moment, ruled by a Labour government. Yes. What was the vote? Wasn't it something like 49%, 51 to 49%?
Something, yeah.
51% is enough to call it a Labour government. So when we talk about a people system, we're not saying forget everything about the system. Let's go down people. What it means is that maybe there's 51% of our decisions as a leader must take into account the human beings element, and 49% must take into account the system element. The second thing is when we talk about system, in the end, it takes a person to run a system. And when there is no system, I agree with Chris, there is a system, because the system is how the leader does things. This is why you have a lot of one-man band show or a little real estate show where the owner would say, no, I do this that way, do that way, because that's his system. So there is always a system, even when there is no system, because the person who runs it sets the system. What is very interesting in listening to you guys is the first person to focus in a people person is the leader. And then the question that maybe I'd like us to entertain now over the remainder part of the podcast is, okay, so if we are saying that we're moving towards a people person, if you are, let's imagine that you have to do now 51%, but you're already doing something like 90% people person, then your dilemma is how to bring it down to 51, because the pendulum is there. But if you are a system person, then you have to reduce your system to such but not to zero, because you still have to use maybe 49% of that, where maybe before it used to be 51. You now just have to close the gap of 2%, right? To bring it from 51 system to 49 and increase the human side of your business. I think that's probably where we need to look at. So if anything, it is time probably to ask the question, how do we bring a business where we are two system, meaning we over 50%, to maybe doing less than 50? Because the pendulum could be at 49, 48. I think that the pendulum had gone way worse than 48, meaning more towards the 40. This is why right now you have restaurants that are paying in the city $5,000 bonus for people to join them, because they need people, so they take anyone. This is why there are real estate businesses out there that are knocking on the door of our top performers and say, here's 100 grand, come and work for me. They will do two things to you. One, burn the bridge that you have with your current leader, because once you burnt that bridge, you can't go back. And they know if we can just burn it, at least that bridge is gone. It's a concept that Alexander the Great had when he conquered Persia. And then you have guys who are out there really sitting on an amazing system. I think like Cam was making allusion to, running an amazing system, running a great show. It was fantastic last year, because last year, as I spoke to someone earlier, every real estate agent was a genius. Now we're going to see the real one coming up, And so now people are not going to be making that kind of money anymore. people are not going to be that happy anymore. And suddenly they're going to be unhappy. Now something's going to happen, right? Therefore, they're going to start listening to the sound of the bell outside your organization. And if that bell suits them more, meaning it appeals to the person more, because let's put it this way, to an employee, people system is always what attracts them more. Oh, you care about me. Oh, you care about my family. Oh, you want to do nice things for me. They like that sound. So how does an office like that then reduce system and be more people? I think that probably should be the debate we have.
I think.
Go on, Cam.
Well, I think going from system to people is much easier actually than going from people back to system. Having your system in place and keeping certain things implemented while taking more account of the wants or needs of your people should be easy or simple, maybe not easy, but simple. Having understanding what each person's vision is and helping them achieve. We had this argument last week where people don't have to buy into our vision, we've got to buy into theirs, and if they align, great, we're all going to be successful. Reducing your system somewhat, or the rigidity of the system, to give people a bit more flexibility while still achieving results, that should be the simple bit. Simple things like, if the results on the board, who cares when you start or who you finish? Simple things.
I just want to clarify, are you saying that would be easier to go people when you have system? Is that what you're saying?
Yeah, I think if you're 51-49 system to people, it's much easier to go 51-49 to people than it is if you've gone 80% people to try and bring that back to system. Because once you've given people their freedoms and given people what they want, trying to reduce some of that or minimize some of that to get back towards system, then I think you're pushing shit right uphill. I think to go from we're rigid, this is what we do, this is where the KPIs are, to go, hang on, now you're going to have a little bit more freedom, you're not going to get a lot of blowback from that, if any. Right? But to try to go from you've got all the freedom in the world to no, hang on, there's a set of parameters here that we need to follow and meet, is that I think you run into more issues going the other way.
I like to really believe that it is right, but from my own experience, Cam, I find that it depends on the quality of the leader. This is why I said what Chris said earlier is so gold. The first person to focus is on yourself, because what if a leader is not a people person? What if the leader has got so much of a lack of empathy, zero EQ, and is only a kind of a driver of system? It's going to be very hard for that dude, mate, to change his entire business focus into people driven. Yeah,
it is. But you don't want to change his entire business focus. You just said that.
I know that, but even 2% for him is going to be impossible, man.
It's going to be hard.
Try to get a bit of water out of a rock on the moon, man.
That's why I said simple, not easy. I said easy to begin with, but then I corrected myself. Simple, yes. Easy, depending on your makeup. No, but one small step for man, you just use the moon. One giant leap for mankind. If people are meeting their we're talking real estate, so prospect target or weekly target or monthly target, then probably not to lose point. The rest of the time is yours. I wouldn't go that far, but very close to that. Result on the board, send them home. Try that. See how your physiological makeup comprehends that, and the shit you'll go through as it internally, you'll hate it, and it will challenge every fibre of your being, which makes it not easy, but it's simple. Right? There are simple things you can do to appreciate your people more and to empathise, whether it's real empathy or forced empathy, to create empathy. Simple. Your kid's got a thing on at school. I don't mind if you go home at 4 o'clock today. You've been working hard. I understand the effort you're putting in. Great. Simple.
I asked this though.
Fine with it. That's all right. Simple. But if
without having a limited mindset of 100% or 1 to 10 or whatever, if someone's doing one more than the other, rather than bringing them into balance, can't we increase the other one to match the other one?
There's no such thing as 102%, mate.
That's why I just said eliminating the thought for percentage.
if one's at 51 and you want to bring the other one up to meet it, we're going to.
I didn't say 51. Did you listen to what I said?
Yes. Can't we bring the other one up to meet it?
Yeah, right. Exactly. Without having an idea of limits.
Pendulum.
So
swings,
someone's here.
It's a pendulum, Chris. Pendulum swings, right? That's
okay. So that's why I prefaced the saying without a limited thoughts on 0 to 10 or 100%. Eliminate that from your thinking. I know it's hard for you because the bottles are either full or empty.
Do you think?
Work with me here.
Wow, geez.
So, mate, you brought up a stupid statement, mate. So if your level is here, instead of reducing this one, can you not increase the other one? Whether it's people or system, can't you increase the other one slowly to match the other one? Wouldn't that be more effective than trying to reduce one to increase the other one? Because then people will notice.
I think it would be easy, Chris, if they were figuratively 51 and 49, but if they're 80 and 20, that's probably when it's going to be very
people
difficult.
Thomas was referring to or talking about aren't 51 49 people, they're 90 10 or 100 and 0. And
yeah,
that's at 51 49 it shouldn't be rocket science to swing it one way or the other, surely, but at 90 10 it is. Like it's
going to be a chore. No worry. It's going to be a task. It's going to be a task. What I'm saying, if people is majority of people focus, instead of reducing their focus on people, how about we start increasing more of their focus additionally onto system? So we start to bring them up. So that way we're not eliminating all the benefits that the staff have, but they're getting higher performance out of the staff.
Yes, but it is.
Is that a possibility?
It is going to be. I don't know if it's possible to raise system without some detriment to the people, depending on your level. Now, I'm about to go through this, right? I'm about to go through this where I've got to work out how I go from 80-20, or maybe I'm being generous at 80-20 to myself, 80 people, 20 system. I've got to work out how I get system back without losing what we've got, because what we do have at its core is bloody beautiful. We've got a great group of people and a great core, and they're hard work. Okay, but I let the system go and everything else followed. So now I've got to work out how I can keep everyone and happy, not keep them happy. Happy is not the right word.
Yeah.
I'd enjoy the same flexibility and give them the same idea of freedom whilst raising the system. And it'll be interesting. I'll let you know. Can you raise the system without reducing your flexibility in other areas? I don't know.
I don't believe that that organization of yours has gone from one quarter to the next to zero system.
No, I said 80-20 maybe. But
okay, I don't believe it's gone from 50% down to 20. So really, I thought I gave you guys the answer to really twirl around is the first person to focus on is yourself. So what I would like to ask is, this last quarter with that team, what happened to you?
Yeah.
So what did you do? Did you look for salespeople in Uber? Did you go out there and decided, hey, I'm gonna try and emulate the other team I have and have more free time to myself? But then, in doing that, did you install first some kind of a system that would allow your presence to be diminished first?
No.
Or did you just switch off the button straight away? I mean, these are the things that you need to really ask. You're going to have to really ask that. I mean, I repeated, our seminar a few weeks ago, the conference was mainly about when we release or remove the limitation on ourselves, we can really be working at full strength.
Yep.
So if you want to be either more system or more people, you have to remove those things yourself. Let me give you 3 examples very quickly. This week, they just switched off the machine in Iran on a woman who refused to wear the hijab. So the police took her in the jail, must have bashed the shit out of her and put her into a coma. They switched off the machine today. right? That is system. And it's like Louis said at the beginning, it's very outdated, but that's a system run by people who are system and would like us to go back there. In Russia, now Putin today has decided he was going to raise 300,000 more men from the reserve list. And people are starting to buy flight out of Moscow, and people are starting to rise against him. So what is it? It is a rigid system now that's having people push. And you don't even have to go far. In Australia, every single day you have organization, and what some of the worst, a friend of mine spoke to me about it. Some of the worst even happened in a place where they know the law, even in law firms, where they treat people just like garbage. It is just about system, right? And so, man, it comes down to the person. I was having a discussion with a friend of mine, and what she said was, you know, this is what happened, and my conclusion was the leader was the problem. The leader was the person to focus on. And when I made the suggestion that maybe this guy in his younger days got dumped by a woman he was in love with. His NG was started then, and he promised himself he was going to be really famous and successful. He worked his bum off to become a partner in a law firm. As he becomes a partner in a law firm, now something else kicks in. He's now angry and jealous every single time that he sees other people not working as hard as him. And so he gets out there and starts destroying them as soon as he sees them not working as hard as him. And that is nothing else but the quality of the leader. That is nothing else but his NGE working. And until he really unleash the NGE away from him, he's going to be run by that for the rest of his life. Therefore, a guy like that to run more people, it's going to be impossible, okay? So while you say it's simple, it's not that simple, because people tend to do the things that they did yesterday. So if he does not really sit down, work on himself to understand, hey, why am I doing this? What is it? How come I'm allowing the past to really forge my future and sculpt my future? He's going to just recreate the same past in the future.
Isn't coming to that conclusion though the simple bit? I didn't acting on it and changing it, not easy, but understanding that it starts at the top, which is what with my team, we had a meeting the other day and I sat down and my hand was the first one that went up, and I was the first one to say I've gotten things wrong and there's things that I need to fix, right? So it wasn't about what the team was doing or wasn't doing. There's things we can improve, but as I said, great guy, people, hard workers, I've let them down, right? So
no, I don't think you're
understanding that is easy. No, but I'm not beating myself up.
I don't think you need to be that hard. I think that you really need to really sit down and go, all right, if it was working a quarter before for that team, all you have to do is just to go back there. And so the question you really have to ask is, okay, what happened this quarter? Did I have a lot of distractions in my life that really got me out of that? I mean, you know that. We all know that, the four of us. If someone around us says to us, I'm looking for a house to buy, there's no more work output. We know that quarter. They're not working. When they say they're going out to a buy appointment, I know you're going out to buy something. It's not a buy appointment. You're being a buyer somewhere else. I get it. So that's how it works. And maybe then as a leader, you could sit, if you sat down and you go, all right, so what happened here? What was I so busy in other fields that I have not managed? So then once you have that, then the very good question is, then how do I install a system that is not depending on me running the system? How do I have a system that is run by the system itself rather than me?
Yeah, I wasn't attaching anything negative to it. I know I said I let them down. I wasn't attaching any negative feelings to it. It was just
No, I'm not saying. I'm
getting distracted because I did.
Jim, you also got to be careful, mate. You don't go the other way too quick as well, because then you'll ruin it for the next quarter, trying to fix it too quickly on the other side. And the awareness is a great thing, but fixing it has to be a delicate thing.
No, mate, in our instance, It's actually a very easy thing. I don't have anything hard to fix, but I'm talking in some instances it's not such an easy fix, right? Thomas is 100% right. Even what he says is, how many months are there in a year? There's 9 months in a year where we've killed it, and there's 3 where we weren't. What weren't we doing in those 3 months that we were doing in the other 9? And problem solved. Right? That's not. It's not. Listen, this wasn't meant to turn into me being negative or anything. I'm just using my business as an example because I can. Right?
But it helps other people realise as well, because if they're listening to this and they go, well, what did I do? What could I do? And then they go like the total, 180 on what they've been doing. They go from bad to bad. It's not bad to good. So,
well, that's the thing about leadership, though, isn't it? We're supposed to see things as they are, not worse than they are.
The thing about the system is,
and then make them better. So I see it as it is. It's just making everyone aware of it.
I think the thing is with the system is easy. We all know that. Like it's pretty simple. It boils down to numbers. The hardest thing going forward is going to be the people thing, and the likes of some officers. I feel sorry. It's going to be how to retain those staff that you've got, and working on the people. I think that's going to be the hardest thing, and I think we all had a wake up call at the conference with, and Chris, you've said it 10 times since, is your biggest thing is focusing on you and being okay with you and allowing you to accept the things that you do right, the things that you do wrong, but being okay with putting you first, because like you've just said in the beginning, you can't lead anybody until you can lead yourself. You can't love anybody, you can't connect with anybody, you can't do anything with anybody that you can't do within yourself. And so that's going to be the thing going forward. I think the system is what the system is. We've all done it. It's not rocket science.
Did you just say it is what it is?
I say that a lot, apparently. But it is, the system is the easy part. Changing it or adapting it or molding it to a better system. It's understanding ourselves and understanding the people going forward. I think that's going to be the hard thing, because the world is not what it was pre-COVID.
Lou, I might be the only one here, but I don't find the system that easy, to tell you the truth. There's just so many things. I'm like,
system was easy, everyone would do it.
I don't think it's that easy.
Yeah, but you know what? The thing is
so easy that 1% of us do it.
You're using system as a very, very big umbrella in order to get people to go to work. Yeah, but in order to get people to go to work, using the basic system of calling 50 people a day, the amount of numbers will determine the amount of appointments, which will determine the results based on their ratio. That part's easy, but it's getting the people to go to work, getting yourself to go to work. It's leading yourself and then leading those people. That's going to be the hard part. Like we talked about people within the conference, that there's officers that they find it hard to hold on to people. And that's not going to change, and that's only going to get hella harder in a world that we're living in and going into further, where people want to work from home 4 days of the week and go into the office 1 day a week, and people that don't know how to drive people, and that's the world we're going into. How do you manage that? I think
drive's the wrong word. I think we've got to stop using it. I think inspire. I think we need to replace drive with inspire and help people.
Yeah, but the thing is,
their goals and what we're there to help them achieve.
Yeah.
But talking about retention, I just want to ask you a question. I feel after COVID that loyalty on both sides, both employer and employee, has been diminished considerably because a lot of people's true colours come out.
Mm-hmm.
And I believe millennials, and maybe tarring them all with the same brush of being unloyal, but they're very flippant in what their mindset is. Do we believe that, what's the solution to the lack of loyalty within the workforce at the moment? I mean, I looked at the 6 human needs, and we say if we can get 4 of those right, no one will leave and so forth. But what would be a solution to be able to help businesses retain staff a little bit more, who's gone through system, who need to go a little bit more, people?
Know their vision and help them achieve it.
Yep. And in a recent survey, 54% of people that left their job in the last 6 months is because they didn't feel valued. And one of the things they said is employees are leaving because they don't know why to stay, and that's,
Yeah, wow.
they
Okay.
don't know what, and like, what we've said, there's a company vision and they've got their individual visions, but they still want to feel like they belong to something bigger and better, and so it's, people don't know why to stay, and they don't.
If you were helping them, Chris, if you sat down with a 20-year-old and said, what do you want in life? Now the answer is going to be very different, 20 to 30. We know that, but they don't know that, right? They don't know. If you were helping them achieve whatever answer comes out there, do you think they're going anywhere?
No way.
Yeah, fair call.
Now, we have a system in place that enables them to do that, and the answer is going to be very different. Now, hand up again. I only sat down last week and asked my team what their actual vision was, and they said, my goal is. I said, no, not your goal. So when you close your eyes, where do you see yourself? And I've got 3 very different answers, and I went, we can help with all that. Now let's set a plan to actually do that. Do you think if I help them do that, they're going to go anywhere? If they think they can see it's an actual possibility, they're going to go. The answer to the loyalty issue is we are still expecting staff to buy into what we want. We have to be okay with the fact that they don't give a shit what we want.
Yep.
Right? They don't care what our vision is, and nor should we expect them to, because we're all individuals.
And that's why no one size fits all anymore. Everybody's unique. Everybody has their own. It's and accepting that some people just don't want to do 9 to 5 anymore. And if people can get done in 4 hours what they would normally get done in 8 hours, well, what's wrong with that? What is wrong with that model? And that's this crap thing about the previous business models for forever, is that it's 9 to 5 and 6 days a week, and it just does not even make sense anymore when you think about it. Like, you think back now, I think back now when I began, and I thought, how the hell did I even survive as a mum with kids doing the model that I did? There is no way I would employ a mother these days and expect her to do what I did 15 years ago. It's just not possible. And
the problem is, so back to what we were you weren't happy with me saying the bottom line earlier, but the problem is a lot of people are happy to do everything for someone as long as it doesn't affect their bottom line. And that's the issue. That's the system versus people.
So that question was sort of people focused, and now I'm going to go the opposite side and system focused. And I'll ask you guys, say someone is more people focused, how do they now implement the system side of it? How do they get them to, if they're too worried about their people and they're not getting their calls done, or they're too lackadaisy with the rules in the brackets, how do they now start to implement those?
Well, if you've attached it to their, I believe, sorry, Thomas was about to speak, but I believe if it's attached to their vision, then that shouldn't be an issue. But
so you make it for their benefit, right?
I think it comes back to
we're salespeople, right?
It comes back to the leader, though. I think it comes back to the leader. Like, you can't expect, if people have been out there having freedoms and flexibilities and not being held accountable and all the rest of it, and you're expecting them to change, you're expecting the wrong thing. You've got to change in the leader, and you've got to change what you're doing, then they will change. It's got to be your actions, not words, and it's got to be your lived culture, not them going, oh, well, guess what? Yesterday you were allowed to have this freedom, and today, guess what? You're doing this. They're going to go, see ya. See ya, Chris.
Fair enough.
Chris, to answer your question about loyalty, I would like you to really look at loyalty like a house that's been destroyed in tsunami, the same way as COVID has destroyed loyalty.
Yeah.
Right? When COVID hit, leaders went pissed off to all of their employees.
Yep.
That's like the tsunami destroying the house being loyalty. Yeah. So what we need to do just to rebuild it. So loyalty will come back. So right now, it feels like it's lost, but loyalty will come back. But it will be a different form of loyalty. It will be a loyalty where people are now going to look at leaders who are genuinely feeling for them.
Yep.
Not leaders who are talking care, leaders who are genuinely showing care to them.
Mm-hmm.
And that's going to be the biggest thing. You can really talk tough to an employee, if the employee really feels that you are genuine in the way you approach the matter, the employee will very quickly realize, hold on, no, I think that I've been unreasonable here. And so then you can rebuild that kind of loyalty. And hence, I would say that in this coming years, I think that leaders who are people are going to do way better, because it's going to be easier for them to increase it than leaders who are system. Because when you are system, you actually have got quite a lot of NGE. That's why you hide behind system, just like women or men hide behind Botox to hide their NGE. Yeah, I said it in our conference that Botox is nothing else but a physical announcement or physical tattoo of your NGE. And I truly believe that in the years that are coming now, the people who are genuinely able to be people person without even trying will just grab people. Because I will give you another 3 months, there will be salaries of upwards of $150,000 to attract a salesperson. But that's using external rewards in order to burn the bridges. And then when they are here and they're not doing it within a month or two, we'll kick them out. What have we lost? Not much, but we have gambled. Right? So this is what a lot of those businesses out there who don't understand leadership will do. They will gamble like one gambles at the Star Casino. But the leaders who understand it's about people, they go, no. I need to show genuine appreciation of people. You know, I was in an office and a salesperson the night before I was there had bought a house. And even with the way he was talking about a house, he was not even excited about the house. I understand there was probably other things happening behind the scene, but for me, the first thing, it was straight away, I had to celebrate his house and I had to make him feel like he should feel about his house. And I think that is a people person skill. To get into that ability to make someone feel more something that they have achieved that they actually even felt. A beautiful gift of, and not putting myself up, there's people who do it better than me. But that I think that in a work context, that's what we call people person. To make them feel emotions bigger that they can actually feel it themselves is to be a people person. It's not about being transactional or transforming, by the way. So I know we started about it. You can be a people person and be transactional. Okay, I give you $50 if you just give me a listing. But hey, I invite you to my house if you do $100,000. That's go transactional. So the transaction grows, I go more. Transforming is nothing. Even if I was system, I can be transforming. Yeah. So let's imagine I'm a system kind of guy, and I say, all right, you get 3 listings, mate. Not only you have a day off today, you have a day off tomorrow. That is can be transforming because you're now thinking about their lives. You know that they have a baby or whatever it is. So you're making the system fit that. So system or person has no impact on transforming or transactions.
Very good.
Good chat.
I'm lost for questions, actually.
Here's my question. What are the things that people can do to move a system person more towards people?
Ask for feedback.
Okay, that's one good piece of advice. I like that. I believe take people one-on-one out for lunch. I think that's the best thing that you can do as a leader, to move towards people, because when you get to know them, you get to know what part of the system doesn't work.
Yeah. What about check their results, but give them the freedom and flexibility that they want, you know, so don't be as rigid with the result. I mean, obviously if they get
I like it. Absolutely. I said to one of my guys, I don't care really when you do your work. It can be 12 midnight to 6 in the morning, and I never have to see your face.
Yeah. It's like with our team, like we send them home if they get a result at 3, but it's mandatory. You don't get a choice. But in that sense, we also have to do it if we get a result, because we're setting a standard, because we're showing them that our families matter and family is important, and time on ourselves or for ourselves is just as important as time at work, and if you've earned it, you deserve it. So it's a good thing. It works well.
Yeah.
But for someone who's heavily system, those really word you just spoke, Lou, creates cold sweat and sleepless night.
What's that? What's 3 words?
Panic. No, I said all those things that you just said, all those words you just said to someone who's heavily system, that creates health issues for them. Right?
Yeah. Oh, look,
it's not for someone to go from pick a percentage other than 51 or 102 like Chris, someone who is 80% system to say, I'm just now going to let people go home when they get a result, or they can work whatever hours they want as long as the result's on the board. That's too big. That's too big a bridge to gap.
Well, they're going to have
to. How do you get? Yeah, they're going to have to get there, right? But that can't be the first step for those people. There's very few people who are in that state of, nah, it's got to be this way, who are now going to just wake up one morning and go, stuff it, come in whenever you want.
Yeah, but they're also going
to. I think asking for feedback, and I know I sound like a broken record, but taking people for lunch, that's an easy one. Let's look for easy things where people can take a small step without even sometimes realising they're taking a small step. I sound like a broken record, but I'll say it again, ask people what they want in life, really want, not what their goal is, not what their 5-year plan is, not the generic stuff that people sit, but just by sitting with someone and saying, where do you see yourself when you close your eyes? What is it you're trying to get to? Just by asking that question straight away, you're more people than system.
And that's it. Sometimes the solutions are just the simplest ones too, aren't they? Like if someone
you've got to start. You've got to start.
I know exactly what you just said. And someone who's extreme system to get to the point of allowing them to go home at 3 o'clock when they get a result. Sometimes the solutions can be as simple as getting used to checking in on your people, not just to check in and say, have you done your calls? How are you? How was your day? How's that, what's that awards night you went to with your kids, or what, people don't have those conversations in workplaces these days, and especially if they're all system based.
I know people who are 100% system that still walk in the morning and go, how are your kids?
Oh, like people, that's what I mean. They do still do that, Cam, but they're not authentic. They're doing it on autopilot. It's not that, it's like when we had Wayne Bennett at the Empower seminar, and when Nick, what's his name, that Rabbitohs player?
Mark Nichols.
Mark Nichols.
Nick.
And when he realised the leadership and the true leadership of Wayne Bennett is when 6 months after he went shopping. 6 weeks. 6 weeks or whatever it was, he went shopping. Wayne said, fancy walking around Westfields for 3 hours or something, and he said, what are you talking about? That's an authentic connection. That's an authentic, take the time to stop and listen, because we can all walk past and go, hi, how are you? How was your weekend? And get to the back of the office and they're still talking about their weekend and, oh yeah, that's wonderful. 10 minutes later, they wouldn't even remember what they did on the weekend. That's not authentic. And I think you can start small to bridge that gap, build that bridge, however you want to put it, to get to the point where you value them and they value you, and that's no problem.
Do you think you can switch authentic on just like that, though?
No.
If you haven't worked on yourself, you'll never be authentic. If you be fake all your life, then you'll be a fake still for quite a while.
Yeah.
So how do you know that towards your team you are now a people person?
I think
it's something. I think it's intangible, TL. I think it's like when you sit across from someone and you ask them a question, deep down inside whether you actually care about the question you've asked or not, or the response you're going to get. I don't know if that's
okay.
I don't know if it's tangible.
I mean, I can start on the road. So I think that when people start to ask you very private questions and see and seek your opinion, you're becoming very people driven.
Yeah, that's what I was going to say.
External. Sorry, I didn't know. I thought you were asking an internal question.
So if someone comes to you, for example, and say, gee, Thomas, I'm dating this new girlfriend here now. Here's her photo. Where do you think I should go? You know your people person. Right? When someone says to you, man, I don't know, what do you think I should be doing? Dad wants me to do that. What do you think? You know, it's very personal. When someone says, oh man, my wife is really asking me about, you get it? And vice versa, if people never talk to you about it, and every time they talk to you about it is, all right, so how much more do I get from a listing if I actually go out, door knock and manage it? It's not very people driven. It's our system. So I think that's one sign for you to really know.
Yeah.
What others?
Well, I don't know if it's right or not, but I think you've got to know a fair bit about them and their family. And when you come to work, you use people's name and their kids' names and show.
But but that can be inauthentic too.
That's how you do it.
Thomas is going down the route of external indicators that you're doing the right thing. You're becoming not doing the right thing, becoming a people person, or you are a people person. So what are some more external indicators?
Culture. Your culture as well, I think,
Yeah, but it's a bit broad. I'll give you another one. When they ask you, for example, about your family, when let's imagine that you're having a bit of chat and the meeting's finished, and they say, hey Thomas, and how is so and so going in your family? Or what did you do on the weekend, man? These are signs that you're a more people person. Okay.
Yeah.
I don't know, man. That's, jeez.
I think the biggest one, the biggest one for me, and in my experience, and is most important to me, if people open up to you, as Thomas said, personal stuff, then I think you've gone a long way to, obviously you've made an impact in their life, or they value your opinion or your respect or whatever thing you want to put in it, and that's not a system-based thing.
And I think too, if they talk to you outside of work, and particularly outside of work hours, like I've had employees ring me at like 8 o'clock at night to ask my opinion on something completely unrelated and stuff like that. So I think perhaps even that as well, when people feel as though they can only talk to you in work hours, it's probably more a systems thing or a
very nice, love it,
personal
I hope
thing.
they don't ask you what books they should read, Lou, because we know that the
wine they should drink.
BBs are coming out, but
actually one of them did ask me for some good books yesterday.
Renee Brown.
Renee Brown.
Renee Brown.
No, I actually did not say one Brene Brown one, not one.
TLH. With TLH.
I did.
TLH.
I said just read that now.
What are some more external indicators that you're two system?
Oh yeah.
Thomas had a good one where if people are more focused on what they get out of a certain situation than anything else, that's a good indicator. But I think this is an important one for people. What are indications that
you can't hold on to staff? Like you've got a revolving door.
Nice, I love it. Whoa, have more of that in Miraval or wherever it's coming from.
What is something before they leave, right? We want to pick this up. It's no good going, oh shit, another one left. I'm two system. How about we stop it before it gets there, right? So
regardless of external circumstances, whether it's negative or positive, they may have a bad day with the family or whatever it is. It's always back to results, and you can't be empathetic to what they're going through in their life. I think that's you going to. System on that side of it.
You probably.
I think working office hours is a huge one.
Yes, absolutely.
And you probably know nothing.
That's the biggest one. I think that's the best indicator you're ever going to get is what are our office hours.
But what about like knowing nothing about them, their life outside of work, or them knowing nothing about you? And
no, but that's on what external indicators. What clues do the staff give us that we're two system, right? We know we're going to work on ourselves.
You know nothing.
But when someone comes up to you and says, Like Thomas' example before was perfect. How much do I get if I do this, this, and this? Or you go, oh, I need you to do this, and the next question is, well, what's in it for me?
Yeah.
Because I've
But
had
I
it, right?
I think that is a good external indicator when you don't know anything about your staff. I think
But that's not an external indicator. That's coming.
well, it kind of is.
Let's not debate that too much. I think that it can be, and it can be. I personally think if people are too stringent to the rules, that's
Mm, mm,
an external thing. They
mhm.
do this because that's how it is. They do just, do you know how the one-on-one meeting, we have the 250 calls and they do 251, you got a problem. That's it.
I think if you've got a training session that's on someone's RDO
Yeah.
and they don't turn up, huge indicator.
Okay. Now, because we're coming up to a close very soon, but being too much of a person can also carry pitfalls. So we're going to have to be careful. I'll give you an idea. A leader said to me, "Oh man, some of my team members complained when they came down and trained with so and so, and they found that you were not there, so and so was running it, and they complained." And I said, "Tell them to F off. Since when do we ask losers their opinion about what they should thank the person for?" I said, when someone is out there, it's not even from your team, is giving his time or her time to really train you, just say thank you. But then I said to the leader this, your mistake was to ask for their opinion about it. You don't. That would be like me asking my 5-year-old my opinion about parenting, her opinion about my parenting skill, you know? No. Here's a clap, you're not happy, you get another one, and then we talk. You were crying, now you've got a reason for crying. Okay, let's move on. So sometimes you just have to be a certain way, because being too people person can actually lead you to being used.
Yeah, or it just takes the focus off what's important. If everyone, a lot of people in the world want us to be free and want no rules and want no systems and to fight the government, and I think you see it in rare instances what a shambles the world would be.
The funny thing is, those people, the minute you take it away, they're the first ones to scream out and complain about what's going on.
That's the problem. The pitfall of being two people is once you give it an inch of rope, you can't take it back, right? So you've got to, well, maybe an inch is too thin, but you give them an inch, they'll take a mile sort of thing. Good luck getting the mile back.
Yeah.
I think another pitfall of being two people is in our job, they won't respect you as a leader.
I think another one is
too busy being their friend. Got no chance of ever having a serious conversation with them and saying, look, now we need to go to work.
I think another one is treating unequals equally. So people are performing and are doing well and treating the same as the people who aren't performing and aren't doing what you've asked and, you know, how they should be going. Treating everyone with the same, tarring everyone with the same brush is not the right way to go.
Oh, mate, got to be situation specific, because I know if we have a team event, all are invited. But I also know know where there's events being held only for people who meet certain. Yeah,
but that's not what I'm talking about. If you're having a team event, it's the whole team. But if it's, you know, you go home early because you get a result and a specific result, and then a soft result comes through and they go, I'm going home early. Well, hang on, that's not what we agreed upon. And if you allow that, I mean, now you're overstepping and you're diminishing that reward.
Okay, let's go through closing conclusions, and I'm going to allow the lady to go last, and me talking too much, I probably go first. So my first thing,
you've said heaps.
My first thing is very simple. Just be close to 50-50. When someone say that it is people focused, what it means is that you must have at least 50.1. If you have 50.1, this is where you're going. I think the time of 59 is gone. So we're probably coming down towards the 50. Don't think that things are not going to change. Interest rates are going to move. Businesses are going to be shaken. Christmas coming around, and be closer to your people. And that means this is time not to think about gifts and giving them certain things. Be generous.
Yeah, I'll jump in before you stole a lot of mine. I think a lot of people just got to realise there is two sides to the coin. It's not all system and it's not all people. There are actually two sides to the coin, and they're both very, very important. But at the end of the day, without the people, you've got nothing. So maybe remember that.
On the back of what Cam said, absolutely, system and people both as important, but I think first and foremost comes your own leadership. Work hard on yourself, and then that will flow on to your staff. I think that'll flow in through your systems and through your people. To work hard on yourself. You're worth it.
Yep. 100%, Chris, exactly what you said. I think it all begins and ends with us at the end of the day. The buck stops with us. So lead ourselves first to lead our people then. But also that understand that things aren't what they used to be and things will never be the same again. I think we need to have a big shift in our mindset in terms of people and business structure. And just on that, and as we know, the passing of the Queen, I listened to an interesting podcast about her, and one of her favourite lines are, if things around here are going to stay the same, then things around here are going to have to change. And I thought, wow, what a nice line, or what a nice motto to have. So I think, we want to be everybody's friend, but at the same time, we know our duty, and I think that's what we need to focus on is our duty. Lead ourselves, lead our people, and yeah.
Awesome.
There.
Beautiful ending as always. Thank you very much, Louise. Thank you, guys. Have a great day. Have a great night. Go back to your party, Cam. They're waiting impatiently. Talk soon.
See you guys.
Goodbye.